Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be solving a problem that came up on the forums. In fact, it's the one that I was trying to solve in my last video when Power BI Desktop decided to just completely flake out and die on me, which happens all too frequently these days. And it's become really more than frustrating, to be quite perfectly honest, because it's been going on for months and months. And Microsoft simply apparently has no clue about it or has no interest in actually fixing their product. So anyway, in a nutshell, what this individual, and before we get into the actual problem, let me say that this is an extremely well formulated post, especially for a new member. Too often new members get on here and they post just they'll just state their problem without any sample data or any context or no real explanation of how to actually get from point A to point B and what they're looking for. So Adam Geiger, I think that's probably your name from your username. Great job on this post. Very easy to take this and solve this kind of a problem. And if you put a little effort into your posts on the forums, you will get an answer. And usually faster and than you would otherwise. Otherwise, you're just gonna get people like, huh? What are you talking about? So elements of this post that are great: posted sample data, very good explanation of what the problem statement is. And then here's what the final result should be, right? 1900 for truck B and 40 or for truck A and 4700 for truck B. Right? So all the elements of great posts are here. These are the posts I like to answer. All right. So and the issue around this is really comes down to part of its Power Query and part of its DAX. And it's a very common trap that I think that new users can run into with Power BI all the time. And the answer, if you have data that you just can't make heads or tails of how you're going to solve the problem, usually it involves, the usual suspect in that case is unpivoting your columns. Okay, that is the key and the crux to solving many Power BI problems. So what you can see here's the source data, and he's got X's as far as the routes, right? So he wants to take the initial mileage, and then for each route that the truck travels for each month, in excess of the current date and service where they probably record this mileage, right? Then he wants to add up all of that mileage and add it to the initial mileage to get a final result. And so what you need to do in this case is you need to unpivot these three columns. Okay, so that's what there's a couple other things here where I've cleaned up some text and stuff, but you can see here now I have for truck A, I have 3 rows, and for truck B, I have 3 rows. And there'd be as many of these rows as you'd have routes for. It's not a problem. Again, especially with columnar compression, it really doesn't matter that you're kind of duplicating these rows. And then the same thing holds for table 2, right? Table 2, they have their route 1, route 2, route 3 as far as the mileage on these specific dates. And really the trick to this is you unpivot them. So now you have an attribute and a value column. And for each of those dates, you have 3 rows instead of 1 row. Again, not a problem. Power BI is very good at handling that sort of thing. It just apparently likes to flake out and bug and cause problems and go out to lunch. We have to kill it with the task manager once in a while, more often than I would like to. Anyway, I digress. So once you do that, right, now you have your tables, and they look just like they would in Power Query, right? There they are. Then you can construct a measure like this. I'll zoom in on it. So grab the max of the date and service, right? Because that's for the truck. We're using max here, right? Because they're all going to be the same date. So it doesn't matter whether we use min or max, or we can use either one of those. Same thing for initial mileage. We grab the initial mileage. Just use max there. And then to get the routes, what we're going to do is we're going to end up with a table of the routes. So we're doing a filter. So you have to read this from the inside out a little bit. Filter table 1, where the value equals X. Remember, we have the attribute and value columns. Then we're going to select the attribute column. We're going to call it route. Doesn't really matter what we call it. And then we're going to return the distinct values on that. I just put that in there just for, it probably wouldn't need to be there, but it's always good to try to future-proof your DAX, if you will. Really doesn't matter in this solution, but just in case there was a lot of duplicates and things like that, just go ahead and use distinct, and then you're not returning as many values within your table. It's going to be more memory efficient, et cetera, et cetera. So now then we're going to filter table 2 where the date is greater than or equal to the date and the attribute is in the routes. So that's your the in operator. Very handy in a lot of DAX solutions. Learn to use the in operator. And now what we can do is we can say, hey, the result is just the initial time plus the sum x of that table, and we're summing up the value of that mileage, and we get a result. We to return the result. And as you can see, truck A, 1900. Truck B, 4,700. Solution checks out. There you go. So that is how you can solve well-formed forum posts in the forums when Power BI decides to work. Anyway, that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.